It's been a while since we've talked about Epic Universe being constructed in Orlando, slated to open up in 2025. So that being said, let's jump into another Epic Universe construction update. Welcome back everybody, my name is Scott, you're watching Exploring Attractions. If you're new here, consider subscribing down below with those bell notifications on, and leave this video a like at the end if you enjoyed it. As always, you can find all of our social media pages down below in the description, on Instagram and on Twitter, and even on TikTok when we decide to post on there. But yes, the holidays have passed. BioReconstruct is back to his fun ways of putting out construction pictures for all of us fans to analyze based around Universal's Epic Universe, and as always, make sure to follow BioReconstruct on Twitter. And not only did he release a photo, but he also released an aerial video, which I thought was a pretty cool add to something that he typically doesn't do. And I'll play that video on the screen right now so you guys kind of get an idea of Epic Universe as it currently stands. Of course, we're going to be going through all the changes throughout the different lands that have changed since our last update. So with that being said, let's jump right into the first thing, and that is how to train your dragon. Now with how to train your dragon, the majority of the work that's going on right now is with the main attraction, and that main attraction being the roller coaster. More recently we saw the first track recently get added, and since then it seems like they're building a lot around the different track, and they're preparing for some supports to be placed on this coaster plot. In an aerial shot of the How to Train Your Dragon land, you can see just how large in scale it's going to be. And if you were to look closely on the right side of the land, you can also see some new track that was recently added to the coaster. Now this coaster of course will sit side by side with the high-speed dual racing roller coaster, set to be themed to some kind of space theme, as I think that the rumored name right now in all the comments section has been Starfall Racers or somewhere along those lines. But with the How to Train Your Dragon coaster, it seems like progress is going a little bit slower compared to that coaster. Now like I said, there has been new tracks spotted on ground and on those supports, and the supports are starting to get placed in the different footers, but it seems with the How to Train Your Dragon, they're working on all the structural stuff that will be surrounding the coaster, so the different water features, stuff like that, not necessarily the coaster track. And while we do start to see more stuff go vertical and more stuff start to erect in what looks like it could be a coaster station slash a maintenance station, as of right now that's all about we have for that coaster. The land itself and How to Train Your Dragon, still no progress on the theater attraction, and then with the Great Hall restaurant, same thing. In our recent update we did talk about, it seems like it's making a little bit more progress, however since then it has not made any progress. Overall, as we say in every update, the How to Train Your Dragon land seems to be the one that's kind of slowly moving along compared to the rest of the land. But that's not to say that Universal just won't randomly decide to start going 100% full steam ahead on that land and take a break on all the other ones. Now something that we briefly mentioned right now is of course that dual racing roller coaster, which has received a ton of new track. The first track that we saw actually placed on the different supports was very exciting because it was something that wasn't just in the station slash the launch sequence, whatever this may be. Instead, now we have bank turns, and now with those bank turns we have a massive bank turn that's going to make for an awesome moment during this attraction experience. So you can see kind of the first steps of that coaster, which we saw when it first came out about a month ago. Those two turns obviously symbolizing with the two different colors that it will indeed be a racing coaster. Well, now on the outskirts of that is that massive bank turn that I was talking about, going right into, looks like a bunny hop. Of course, you gotta love those awkward supports. It's always so interesting seeing the construction progress of a coaster because you get to see all these different things that just don't make sense while they're getting put together, but once you see it all complete, you're like, wow, okay, I can see how that works now. And Universal is definitely going to start adding tons and tons of more track to the different footers and the different supports throughout this plot that this coaster is going to sit on, because there is track being staged in the parking lot as it has been with the different coasters that are going to be put in Epic Universe. The yellow slash kind of greenish colors have been the ones sitting there in the parking lot. And one thing that's quite exciting is the fact that yes, all of the different footers and whatnot have been placed there. However, up until today, we have not seen the supports start to be placed where those footers are at. We can see them all in the shape that the coaster is going to form, but now we can definitely see the green kind of supports starting to be placed in those footers, which means that when you get supports, what's going to come after? Well, it's going to be even more tracks. And when it's all complete, guys, this coaster is going to look insane because you won't know what track goes to what train slash what side. Of course, you could tell the color difference, but it is going to look like a whole mess, and it's just going to make for even a more fun experience because once you're actually riding it, you won't know what to expect for the very first time. Right behind that coaster is of course the Ministry of Magic attraction slash the brand new Wizarding World land, and lots have started to ramp up for this. Now obviously the Ministry of Magic building has taken shape a lot more. There's actual forms of the different buildings that are supposed to be taking place outside of the Ministry of Magic. But yeah, exciting stuff ahead, because not only are they doing all the framing for the surrounding city buildings and of course the framing for the Ministry of Magic entrance, but they're actually testing facades out. And with facades, that comes detail. And something that I've been talking about a lot in our recent updates is it's any day now until we start to see at least somewhat of detail. And there has been somewhat of detail in a little bit later down in the video that I want to talk about. But yeah, those surrounding city buildings, you can definitely start to see take shape a lot more. There's that kind of side portion of the Ministry of Magic, which we don't know is going to be kind of a hidden alley like Nocturne Alley over at Diagon Alley at Universal Studios Florida. That's what at least I'm speculating, kind of one of those hidden alleys that not a lot of people know about, but when you go back there, it's this cool experience. Either that or it's just going to serve as the exit area for the Ministry of Magic. It's kind of on the side of the Wizarding World land, and everything in this land is all coming together as far as the entrance to the attraction goes, as far as a rumored new attraction, and of course all the surrounding city buildings. Moving on to the main Epic Universe Hotel that will sit at the very top part of the park and serve as the centerpiece of the land, or at least one of the many centerpieces of Epic Universe, and that's a brand new hotel. This hotel has not seen any forward progress in the recent weeks. There's actually a lot more progress on the off-site hotel that's being constructed down the road. There's windows installed, there's stuff like that installed, there's a lot more shaping installed. I would like to see the in-park hotel start to take more shape, but it begs the question, will they have the one down the street open before Epic Universe opens, kind of marketing it for just Universal Orlando Resort in general and adding another offering to the Orlando Resort? Obviously you just have it transporting guests to Universal Studios Florida, Islands of Adventure, or Volcano Bay, but it wouldn't be a dumb idea for Universal to just open up that one and then kind of build the anticipation for Epic Universe, kind of cross promote it with Epic Universe in a way. But yeah, no notable progress on the in-park hotel so far. Moving on over to my most anticipated land for Epic Universe, and that of course is the Universal Classic Monsters land. Now you'd think with Universal Classic Monsters a big update right now would be the main attraction. Well, it's not actually. As for the entry portal, the buildings have started to take shape and you start to see framing for the village that will lead up to the main rumored Frankenstein's castle. If you look closely, the entry portal is well underway with vertical construction, and like I said, there is framing involved in it on what we can expect for those. I don't know exactly what the buildings are going to have for this village, but I'd assume that it's going to kind of look something like Hogsmeade in a way. That's just my best comparison. We can kind of get an idea already of the entry portal and what to expect when we walk inside of Universal Monsters. And I think that's very exciting because not only are they working on the big stuff, they're also working on the little stuff that's going to have so much detail put into it. Stuff that you look at and you're just as impressed with that stuff as you are with the different attractions. Now, Frankenstein's Castle and the main attraction has not had any major updates. Obviously, there's scaffolding covering the whole facade, and there's still structures that have yet to be changed or anything for this castle attraction, whatever it may be, but the building is 100% closed other than openings to obviously put in ride vehicles and different structures and whatnot inside. The building does look completely closed up. And then the second attraction that's going to be going in the Universal Monsters Land is of course the Wolfman themed roller coaster. Allegedly it's a Wolfman themed roller coaster. More track has been added here and there, but nothing that we can see as far as progress goes other than in the maintenance station slash loading station. There's been a few changes here and there, but nothing major. And then of course the Windmill Restaurant. The Windmill Restaurant is slowly but surely getting more and more vertical. Now obviously that structural tower has been sitting there for a while, and that's what's leading everybody to believe that it is going to be some form of quick service windmill restaurant. But there's been nothing definitive other than that, and honestly I would just say that's definitive enough. Having just a random tower and it being rumored as a windmill quick service, I would think that that's what it's going to be. But surrounding buildings have started to go vertical and it's starting to get a little bit more closed off, so I'd love to see more progress on that within the next couple weeks or so. Now we move into our last topic of the video, and that of course is Super Nintendo World, and that's where a little bit more detail comes in, because I've tracked Super Nintendo World construction progress here in Hollywood for ever since it got announced and ever since they started breaking ground on it. I've been tracking it for a while, and now I can confidently say in a few weeks I'll finally be able to step foot into Super Nintendo World at Universal Studios Hollywood. So I kind of know where their construction progress is at for Epic Universe. And one thing that you can see if you look closely is the fact that mountains, the green hills, are definitely starting to take shape, and that's where I say the first kind of bit of detail comes in. There's no green or anything like that, but you can see that's where the green hills are going to be taking place at, and they're starting to kind of frame that a little bit more. And obviously you can kind of depict the rest of the land, seeing Princess Peach's castle, the Yoshi attraction, the entrance to Mario Kart, Bowser's Challenge. One thing that I did catch when going over these photos is it looks like, well, number one, the front entryway is going to be a long walk from the actual beginning of the green warp pipe to the entrance of the land. I know over here in Hollywood it's just a quick turnaround and you're already in the land, but in the Epic Universe one, it looks like you're going to be walking to that warp pipe for a little bit longer. I don't know how the one in Japan is, but I assume it's pretty quick as well. But you can kind of tell just like where the warp pipe framing's at, and you can kind of see how far it is away from the actual Princess Peach's castle. But if you look at one of these shots to the left, there's some kind of work going on, and honestly, this pattern kind of looks like what the star is going to sit on. Like if you have seen the Japan and Hollywood version, there's a giant star ground piece on the floor right before the green warp pipe. That's kind of what it looks like. I could be wrong. That could be for something else, but that's just what it looks like. I figured that'd be something to mention in here. And then the Donkey Kong coaster. But you can see they're working on a lot more of the outside stuff, similar to what they're doing with How to Train Your Dragon coaster. They're working on all the outdoor elements as far as the water features go, the different walls that the coaster will cross through. With the Donkey Kong coaster, you can see them start to work on the water features, but you can also see a definitive area of where that lift hill is going to be at. It points straight up, comes right out of the station of where the LED station is going to be at, and then obviously see the rest of the coaster. Now, as we've talked about before, the coaster's not going to be very long, but it is going to be very themed. It's going to have a jungle theme. It's going to make for a lot of fun because it's going to feel like you're jumping different tracks. One thing that I have kind of been curious about throughout this whole construction progress is, will the area be able to accommodate the demand? Because the Donkey Kong coaster, there's nothing else like it other than in Japan when they open it up eventually, which I think they're supposed to be done with theirs in 2024, if I'm not mistaken. Will that area / that loading station be able to hold the demand that it's going to have? And I would assume that the coaster trains aren't going to be that long either. With the jumping aspect and it being all attached to an arm, how long is this train going to be? How many riders is it going to sit? All these questions will be answered very, very soon. I just think the demand's going to be very large, and this is just a small area. But that's going to wrap it up for today's Epic Universe construction update. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Like I said, it's always a lot of fun to see all this progress, and huge shout out to BioWare Construct on Twitter, as always. Let us know down below in the comment section what stands out to you the most as far as this week's Epic Universe construction update. Subscribe if you're new here with those bell notifications on. Leave this video a like if you enjoyed it. It helps us out a whole lot. As always, positivity is key, and most importantly, remember to keep exploring. Peace out, everybody.